If you were born after 1980, you're part of a generation that's working harder than ever and still falling behind. Millennials and Gen Z have 86% less purchasing power than baby boomers did at the same age. That's not a vibe, that's math. Boomers bought homes on single incomes, graduated with little to no debt, and built wealth decades before turning 40. Today, a starter home costs nearly $500,000. Rent eats up over a third of your paycheck, and a bachelor's degree could leave you $100,000 in the red, with no guarantee of a job. But somehow, the narrative still blames young people for struggling. They're lazy, entitled, addicted to $6 lattes, and TikTok. So I decided to look at the actual data. Is this really a mindset problem? Too many distractions? Too little discipline? Or has the economic game changed so drastically that the younger generations never had a fair shot? Let's break it all down. Section 1. The homeownership mirage. Let's start with the American dream, homeownership. Back in 1988, when the average baby boomer turned 33, the median U.S. home price was around $110,000. The median household income, roughly $27,000. So if they saved every dollar of their income, they could have bought a house outright in just over 4 years. Unrealistic, sure, but it's a clean benchmark. Economists call this the home price to income ratio. It gives us a sense of how affordable homes are for the average person. Now fast forward to 2022, when millennials hit that same age, 33. The average house? $433,000. Average income? About $70,000. That's a 6.2-year gap, even assuming zero taxes and zero expenses, which we know isn't real life. So what used to take 4 years now takes over 6. And that's assuming housing prices even stay where they are. They won't. In fact, today's ratio isn't just worse than in the 80s. It's worse than during the housing bubble in 2006. And that should terrify you. Because when home prices outpace incomes, two things happen. Fewer people buy homes. More wealth gets concentrated in the hands of those who already own them. And by the way, in cities like San Francisco, LA, and New York, the ratio isn't 6-1. It's 10-1 or worse. Section 2, degrees that don't pay off. Okay, if you can't afford a home, what about climbing the ladder the old-fashioned way? Go to college, get a good job, work hard, build from there. But here's the catch. College today is not what it was. In the 1990s, the average student graduated with about $10,000 in student debt. That was manageable. Today, that number has tripled, and for many, it's much higher. Student loan debt in the US now totals $1.7 trillion. It's not just a statistic, it's a generational anchor. And it's not just the debt. It's the fact that the return on investment is no longer guaranteed. In the 70s and 80s, having a degree made you stand out. Today, it's the baseline. Since 1970, the number of college grads has risen by over 250%. That means more competition for the same jobs. So what happens? Entry-level jobs now require 2 to 3 years of experience. The pay? $50,000 if you're lucky. It's no wonder people feel stuck. You need a degree to get the job. You need the job to pay the loans. But the job barely covers rent. And forget about saving or investing. Most grads are just trying to stay afloat. Section 3, the wage illusion. But maybe it's not the degrees. Maybe it's just that people don't negotiate. Maybe they're under-earning. Well, here's the problem. Wages haven't kept up. Not with inflation, not with housing, not with healthcare, tuition, or transportation. If wages had grown at the same rate as housing since 1970, the average salary today would be over $120,000. Instead, it's just under $70,000. That's a $50,000 gap between what people should be making and what they actually bring home. Meanwhile, the cost of gas has jumped 40% to 60% since boomers were in their 20s. Car payments now average $716 a month, and that doesn't include insurance or repairs. Want to own a modest car, live in a safe neighborhood, and eat real food? That's not middle class anymore. That's upper class. We've quietly shifted the goalposts on what it takes just to feel stable. Section 4. Built-in disadvantages. So what makes this moment different? Why does it feel harder, even when people are technically earning more. Let's look at the bigger picture. Boomers came of age in a post-World War II economy. There were more jobs than people. Pensions were common. College was cheap. Homes were affordable. Millennials and Gen Z came of age in a post-recession world. The 2008 crash decimated the job market just as millennials graduated. Then COVID wiped out 2 more years of stability. You can't bootstrap your way out of a broken economy. And culturally, things have shifted too. People are getting married later, having kids later, living with parents longer. Not always by choice, but because of cost. In fact, over 45% of millennials still don't live independently. Compare that to the silent generation, 85% of whom had their own homes by that age. And then there's the investor problem. More homes today are being bought by corporations and hedge funds, not families. That means the starter home that used to be your entry into the middle class is now someone else's rental income. Ownership is being replaced with subscriptions. And debt is the business model. Section 5. Where do we go from here? So here's the honest question. If you're a millennial or Gen Z, what can you do? Because just save more doesn't work when your rent is half your income and your car payment eats the rest. But there are strategies if you're willing to play a different game. First, protect your margin. That means no more than 30% of income on housing, no more than 10% on car payments, no high interest debt, period. If you're over those limits right now, that's okay. Awareness is step 1. Make a plan to move toward them over time. Second, automate your savings and investments. Even if it's just $50 a month into a Roth IRA, do it. Because compound interest doesn't care how broke you feel today. It just rewards consistency. Third, get aggressive about income. That might mean switching jobs every 2 years, learning a new skill, starting a side hustle, or negotiating harder. In today's world, loyalty rarely pays, but strategy does. And finally, resist lifestyle inflation. Just because your income goes up doesn't mean your spending should. That's how wealth is built. Slowly, quietly, and intentionally. Let's be real. The system isn't fair. You didn't make housing unaffordable. You didn't inflate tuition. You didn't ask for a world where working full-time barely covers the basics. But here's the mindset shift. You may not have created this system, but you're still responsible for navigating it. And you can. People are doing it quietly, intentionally, over time. It starts with one small change. Maybe you ditch the $600 car payment. Maybe you rent with roommates longer than you wanted. Maybe you build that emergency fund $20 at a time. Whatever it is, it puts you back in control. Because the goal isn't just to survive. It's to reclaim the financial future that should have been yours in the first place. Let me know in the comments. Do you think millennials and Gen Z are truly screwed? Or is there still hope? What's your biggest financial struggle right now? Rent, debt, income. I'd love to hear your story. And if this video helped shift your perspective, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. We're not just talking about money. We're building financial clarity, one truth at a time. See you in the next one.